You're listening to the 10-Minute Podcast Challenge that'll prove every place is the same. Welcome your host, the irreverent, the cosmopolitan, the wicked, Daniela Vlascali.
Hello, and welcome to a very special Halloween episode of Every Place is the Same. I am excited and a little creeped out to welcome back our guest, Natasha Boomer. Hello, Natasha.
Hello.
Now, Natasha, the last time we had you on, you talked about Boston and Paris. Is that right?
I sure did.
Well, today on Every Place is the Same, we are going to talk about some of your past lives in these places and others.
Okay, I'm in.
Natasha, would you say that some of the places that you've been to in your past life are the same?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, today we're going to find out.
Okay, I'm excited.
Natasha, do you believe in ghosts?
I do not believe in ghosts.
So you don't believe you've ever witnessed a ghost or felt a spirit or an essence of something around you in this life or a past life?
Definitely people are watching us.
I always feel like someone is watching me. Let's move on. Mongolia.
All right.
Tell me about your past life there.
Well, in Mongolia, I was in a tribe, and the way the tribes worked back in Mongolia, like early days, you had many tribes, and they were surrounded far away area. And because you...
1800s?
No. Like, we're talking...
1700s?
No, we're talking like...
1600s?
No. We're talking like beginning of time. We're talking like for...
BC? AD?
Probably BC. Probably
Great.
BC. So long, yeah, for sure not AD, because that's after death. Yeah, so you have all these tribes, nomads, right? Well, you know what? Nomad should have told you what it was. Nomads. I should have said that. So the general rule with healers, because you can't heal your own tribe, is you would be chosen. If it looked like you had a gift for healing, you'd be chosen to go up to the top of the hill and train with the weird witches.
So, shamans,
I guess.
is the word.
Sure.
Mongolian shamanesses.
Okay.
A shamaness is a bridge, a person that might be a bridge between the human world and the spirit world.
Okay.
Would you describe that was your experience?
Yeah, I think it was more, well, here's the thing is, so at the age of 33 in this past life, I was chosen to go to train with the witches. So I had to leave my tribe. And then you leave your tribe forever so that you can heal all the tribes. However, I was not very long into it before I was fired as...
How does one get fired?
Please walk back down the hill in shame. You have shamed your tribe because now you're not going to be fulfilling your destiny.
Let's move on to one of your other past lives.
Okay.
Let's talk George Washington.
Oh, man, I love that guy.
How did you know George Washington?
Well, George Washington, I was a soldier in Boston.
A soldier or a guard?
True. I probably played a drum.
Drum into war?
Yeah, you know, those people that drum into war.
Yes.
They have like a club foot or something. They're like, well, you can play the drum and drum us into war. And so I would play a drum, and for some reason, I got to know the Wash. And so the thing that I do believe Washington taught me integrity. I do believe that man had a high integrity.
And how did he do that?
Just by being. How do you teach? You teach by being, right?
So he led by example.
Yes, and I believe I saw that example and was like, I want to be just, because I don't think that those years had a lot of integrity in them.
Integrity better than shame, I take it.
Integrity is better than shame, yes. Yeah, so I'm evolving.
How long did you work for Washington?
I don't have that information.
So you weren't fired?
Well, who knows?
You could have been.
Knowing if this life is parallel with those lives, for sure I was fired. That's how I leave everything.
Chances are you were fired.
Very good chance.
What I I learned a little bit about some of the men that were chosen to serve with Washington, drummers or otherwise, is that they needed to be sober,
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
good behavior, between 5'8" and 5'10", handsome and clean. Were you any of these things?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you right now is all of them.
So you were a good fit.
Oh, fit? Like a
Fit as a fiddle.
let's hope. Can I just have one life where I got abs?
When I say to you, conquer or die, does that resonate with you?
Absolutely. Only if we're no. Only that was gonna be mean to myself. Only if we're talking submarine sandwiches. But no. Conquer or die means nothing to me.
That was one of the themes or the flags for the men that served with Washington.
Okay.
Let's talk London.
Hey.
London, England.
Right.
Tell me about some of your lives during that time.
I've had several just horrific lives in England. And I'll tell you, I don't think England is a great place to live.
How about to learn integrity?
I don't know that there's any learning. I think you can either learn integrity or survival.
Plagues?
Just one day.
Wars?
Wars. Plagues. Just lynchings like you would, just lynching women for being powerful. It was just the patriarchy was on the throne.
Malnutrition?
So much malnutrition. I do believe that I have
tea biscuits.
Oh, I don't have any experience with tea biscuits. But I do know that I starved in a past life in London in a forest. And it is the reason why I was very excited to get to eat this life.
Tell me about your London witch experience.
Well, I had 2 children and a husband, but I could heal. I would go into this like trance. So I was like a healer. And my husband forbade me to do healing with my hands.
Why is that?
Because he thought I would be hung, burnt.
Now, this was during the witch trials, is that correct?
This was very close to the witch trials, yes. They were going on in Scotland. We were living in London, but he forbade me, and it made me feel helpless because I really wanted to do it.
I see. And so can you describe the experience of going into that trance?
I feel my hands would get very hot.
And do you remember healing anyone?
No.
But you were a witch.
I was a witch.
Not a successful one, it sounds like.
A married witch with 2 young boys.
Let's talk Shakespeare.
Okay, all right.
To pumpkin or not to pumpkin?
To not pumpkin.
What was your experience with Shakespeare?
What a drunken, end of the bar loser. I don't think Shakespeare is all that everyone cracks him up to be. I think he drank his face, and I think that he relied on a lot of people to create his masterpieces.
Were you friends?
We were buds. Now, I did work with Shakespeare. I was a comedian.
Were you ever inebriated?
Oh, who wasn't in those days? Listen, it's like England in the 1400s. It's just like rats. There's more rats than there is humans. Wouldn't you drink? I had a mouse in my house once, and it did not go well for me.
A mouse in the house.
Yeah, because you're scared they're going to crawl on you.
So you were a friend of Shakespeare's.
Buds.
You were drunk together.
Drunk, and I used to do comedy in the town. This is how comedy worked back. This is the old first days of stand-up. You would stand in a square.
Circle gets the square.
And then you do jokes where you'd make fun of people. And so my comedy was very like horrendously it's like roasts. That's all comedy was in the beginning. Just like a bunch of the roast of Justin Bieber, except for the person didn't want it.
Scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Did you ever roast Shakespeare?
Oh, probably. I also have information that I played all of the queens in his plays.
So you were performing on the Globe Theatre.
Yeah.
Now, what was your name?
Richard?
So, were you Richard Burbage by any chance?
I don't know who that is.
Richard Burbage, well, he was one of Shakespeare's most famous actors and played almost all of his most well-known roles.
Oh. If he played most of the queens, then I guess I was Richard.
Wow. Impressive.
It's London, England, so there's going to be like a ton of Richards.
True.
There's a very good chance that Shakespeare just surrounded himself by Richards because he was so drunk that he wouldn't have to remember anyone's name.
True, and he could have just called them all Dick.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of Dicks in London.
Yes. Also a lot of syphilis, so they're not usable dicks.
Hamlet. One of Shakespeare's most famous plays.
Right.
One of the most famous characters. The gravedigger.
Yes. What a horrific job that is. Just digging graves for bodies, just mutilated bodies. It can't feel good on your soul.
It's true.
There's only one day a year where your soul is allowed to feel bad.
Halloween.
Halloween and Valentine's Day.
Having spent time with George Washington
Cool guy.
and William Shakespeare,
Not a cool guy.
both quite accomplished men.
Yeah. Both great hair.
Great hair.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did they wear wigs?
I would imagine. I think everybody wore a wig back then. That was a sign of status.
Both men wore wigs. Both men had great hair. Both men surrounded themselves with men.
Yeah.
George Washington, drinker?
I think you probably enjoyed a little cherry snaps.
Cherry snaps.
If
Is that a popular drink during the American Revolution?
I don't know that fact.
Beer or ale in Shakespeare's day?
Ale. Yeah.
Very popular.
Yeah. It's probably why I hate beer. Don't like the smell of it.
You had too much of it.
I've drinking my past life's weight in beer. And now this life, I'm like, we're good.
Talk about goblins.
Okay. Goblins are like people that you date from Tinder.
Of the 3 lives of your past lives that we've discussed, we looked at you as a shamaness.
Shamaness. Fired shamaness.
A fired shamaness.
Failed shamaness.
We looked at you as a comedian. Would you say
Failed
were you
comedian.
a successful comedian?
Oh, I think I was very successful, but I think I was cruel.
You were cruel.
Yeah.
So therefore, not that successful.
Not successful with the people I was making fun of.
I see. And what about your drummer boy history?
I'm going to say anytime you are learning integrity from the master of integrity when he does not have to be integral, and I think that that's a win.
That's a
a
win.
Successful, no matter what I was to him, whether I was a soldier to him, a drummer boy to him, or the person who emptied his bedpan, I still learned integrity.
What would you say was the thing that you were meant to learn going from each life to the next life?
I think there's a lot of to thy own self be true.
Ah, it's very Shakespearean.
Yeah, well, I guess I carried that with me. Maybe
So-
I wrote that line. Maybe I'm the one who was like, yo, Shakes, I got a line for you. To thy own self be true.
I see. One last thing. When we talk about the bridge between the human world and the spirit world, can you describe that for our international listeners?
Well, the bridge is the soul, right? The human body is like the skin sack of experience and information, and then the soul just tags along and just uses different bodies to learn different lessons. You're going to have a different lesson if you have a gimp leg and you're a drummer than if you are a very strong, powerful soldier. You're going to have a different life in the early 1700s if you're a woman.
Okay, so we know that there's a lot of things that you need to learn as you go along the way.
Yeah.
Now, when are you done with your past lives, according to Buddhism?
Well, when your karma has been completed.
Do you think you're close, Natasha?
Oh, I'm way too addicted to chips to be anywhere near done.
You've got a few more lives to go, then.
Oh, a few. But who wants to stop? Coming back here to these skin sacks is good.
Well, I'm happy to hear it.
Me too.
Whether you can identify with witches and shamans, whether you have been buddies with famous and historical figures from the past or the present. Whether you love great hairstyles, wigged or otherwise, or if you've had unsuccessful occupations. Natasha, I think you have helped us prove the frightful fact that past lives and present lives are in fact the same.
I have. It's true. Just a bunch of themes just circling like sharks.
Here's hoping you get some potato chips in your loot bag this year, Natasha. And to everyone, happy Halloween.
You just listened to Every Place is the Same, hosted by Daniela Vlaskalik and directed by Marco Timpano. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram or join our Patreon page. Until the next time, enjoy your travels.